What are the costly mistakes that you can make during your BNO application? Check out this video as you will want to know what mistakes you can avoid. Say why you're watching this show, that would be useful. I'm going to take the questions from the floor, and we have some pre-programs, but if you have questions, please do type them in and we'll come straight to you. So the first question that we have is, what are the biggest mistakes of a BNO visa application? And it can only go to one person to begin with this show with, which is Nigel. So, people are obviously doing visa applications themselves, but is it the right thing for them to do? And what are the biggest howlers that you see?
Simon, sure. Well, there's quite a few things that can go wrong, but I'm going to mention three things. First of all, the actual process, the application process is not straightforward. There are different ways of doing it. You can use the UK immigration app to register your biometrics using your Hong Kong BNO or other passport. That system doesn't always work, so sometimes then you have to use the manual process where you make an online application and then attend an appointment for biometrics. And sometimes you have different family members. One family member may not have a biometric passport, and therefore you've got to try and work out how you're going to make it all work for the family. You have to apply together. So there are some things that you need to be careful about when you start the process. Bear in mind that you can always switch out of the biometric registration process and use the manual one, when you're making your visa application. I do find that query comes up often, and certainly on the industry forums that we belong to, there are lots of queries about glitches that happen, in the process. The second thing I want to mention is the need for family members to apply together. And this is a critical issue which many have fallen foul of, and that is if you don't make your applications together, then your family members potentially won't be able to join you. So that's a critical matter of making. Now, you can't apply on the same form with family members. You've got to make individual application. And the main applicant has to get their registered number, their GWF, if it's a visa application, or UAN in country, and then use that on the subsequent applications, which they need to make straight away. So there are some concerns there that people don't get that right, and that can obviously lead to big issues. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, is the supporting documents that people provide in applications. And this is most frequently where applications are refused. It's not necessarily because someone's not eligible in terms of having a BNO passport and meeting the criteria, but it's more about simply not evidencing it properly with the right documents. And this can be demonstrating that Hong Kong or the UK is your permanent home and providing adequate evidence of that in the application. Some people may omit to provide a TB certificate that is less than 6 months old in the application. Evidence of your family relationships. So if family members are applying with you, that needs to be properly evidenced in terms of marriage certificates, birth certificates, and so on. Anything that's not in English needs translation. So if you don't provide a translation, that document will be ignored. Other evidence is are people in the same household as you, and have you properly evidenced that in terms of residential evidence. Financial evidence, you've got to show you meet the maintenance requirements for the size family that you've got. Now, that's different for every family unit depending on the number, and there's a formula that needs to be worked out in terms of showing that you've got the available funds at the right level. So those are some of the key things where we see people come to us with a refused application, and it tends to be not that they're not eligible, but they've just not got the right documents together. So, from that point of view, it is worth getting advice and making sure that you are doing it properly.
Nigel, on that point, if someone has come to you because their application has not been successful and it's pending, I don't know, for them to start a job, the children start school, how quick is the process to rectify their issue, or is that what is the length of a piece of string?
Well, it comes down to looking at different cases and whether or not there's a right of appeal, or whether it's an issue that should be appealed, or whether a reapplication is the quickest and easiest way to do it. And often for these entry clearance type applications, our advice is, if it is just an evidential issue, if it's something that can be remedied, if it is a mistake that was made in the application, it's usually quickest and simplest to make another application and to have it processed again.
Right, very good. Any other panel members want to interject with anything? Normally you put your virtual hand up, so I do know if you want to interject, but is there anything that stands out for anyone else based on what Nigel said?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Nigel, does that mean that someone would have to pay double the fee if they were to do it wrong the first time and then have to rectify it?
So the application fees are non-refundable, so that they would be paying that again. The big charge in this process is the immigration health surcharge. Unfortunately, that's refunded if your application is refused. So you're not paying twice, but you are paying the application fee, which is a lower and more affordable amount.
Okay. There are many live events that you can register for free. There are 4 events that's showing: HK to UK to help people move from Hong Kong to the UK, the Property Expert Panel. If you're a property investor or a property developer, this will be very useful for you. Tax Q&A, if you want to ask proactive tax questions in regards to structures and how to mitigate tax in the future. And finally, UK tax return Q&A, as it says, to deal with questions in relation to your tax returns before you submit it to HMRC. Don't forget that these events are live and will be shown on YouTube the day after. So why not register today, start saving tax tomorrow?